Hey everyone, so thanks for joining me. I am here and I was so busy today running around doing kid stuff, doing the podcast, and all of a sudden I forgot I told everybody I was going to make dinner tonight. So Daniel calls me, he's like, hey, what's for dinner? And I'm like, so if you're anything like me and you're busy, it's one of the reasons so many of my recipes are designed to be so quick, so easy, sort of for ADD people or just busy moms on the run or dads. So I'm here in my pajamas. Don't laugh at me, or you can laugh at me, I won't know. But I'm here and I just wanted to throw this together quickly and show you a few tips that really helped me when I was getting started. But I'm going to show you cream of asparagus soup. It's in the Brain Warriors Way cookbook. Tomorrow it will be on my website. It's not there now because I didn't know I was going to make it tonight because I just had to make something quick. So I had these ingredients in my fridge, which made it somewhat easier. And I just want to go over a couple things with you. So I've got about a pound of asparagus, okay? And what I want to do is you want to get rid of the tough stalk, all right? So the way that I do that, there's probably some amazing way that master chefs do this, but I'm not a master chef. Daniel always says I went from disaster to master. So here's how I do it. I just literally gently sort of bend it wherever it breaks. That's where I know the tough part starts. I only want the not tough part. So you can save these if you want to cut off the white part and do something else with the other part and steam them or do whatever you want. But I only want this part. So then I'm going to take the stem, separate that, and hold on to that. And then this part here, the rest of the stalk, I'm just going to sort of split in half and put that over in another pile. So that's what you're going to do with your asparagus. Keep the stem separate, gently break it to wherever it snaps, and then make them about 1.5 inches, 2 inches on the stalk part. Put that in a pile. Now I am going to use some leek. You don't have to. This is optional. I like leeks. I like the flavor of them in my soup. So this is what a leek looks like. I had no idea. This is how much I did not know how to cook. So some of you I know probably feel the same way. I wanted to be healthy, but I didn't know what all these healthy things were. So this is a leek. It basically looks like a massive, gigantic chive on steroids. But what you want to do is you want to cut off this end part, and then you want to take off the top tough layer right here. Do not use this part. You will not like it. You will not feel good. Just use the white part and just a little bit of this light green part. So I just chopped that. So I've got these here. It's going to kind of look like this, like a giant chive. And I just used one leek. I used about 1/2 of an onion. You can use whatever kind of onion you want. I like sweet onions. So I did that. At the end, I'm going to throw some tarragon in. Tarragon smells amazing. It's just awesome. And then a little salt and pepper to taste. I like some white pepper in this one. You don't have to use white pepper. You can use whatever pepper you want. So I'm going to also put some onions and garlic. The recipe doesn't call for garlic in my house. Like, I love garlic in everything, but since I like it, everybody else has to have it. So garlic is amazing. It's amazing for you, and I just love it in everything. So what I normally do, one of the tips I wanted to show you, what I normally do, this literally took me 5 minutes to chop all this because it's just not hard to do for this recipe because there's so few ingredients. But what I'm going to do normally, hey, look who just walked in. What I'm going to do normally is throw everything. I would not chop up, hey baby. I would not chop up my onions. I would just like literally quarter it or maybe just cube it in like 1/8, but not dice it. And then throw all of it into a food processor along with whole garlic or maybe just half the garlic. And I would take there's also celery, 1/4 cup of celery. And I would just take big chunks of celery, throw all of it into a food processor. Just don't over process it. Don't make it mushy, but just give it a few chops, okay, so that it's rough. And the reason why is because this is going to turn into cream of broccoli soup anyways. You might not want to do that if it's something that needs to look pretty, right? Or that needs big chunks. But in something like this, if you're in a big hurry, throw it all into a food processor. It's awesome. For marinades, food processors like save my life. Take all of the ingredients, throw them in there because it doesn't matter, right? So they don't need to look good, and they're all going to go into this soup pot anyways. So I'm going to take basically my asparagus stalks, and I'm going to put them into a big soup pot. I use avocado oil or macadamia nut oil when I'm cooking. I don't like coconut oil for this one. It tastes a little funky because you don't want a sweet flavor for it. This is more zesty and robust. So I'm going to put in my asparagus stalks. I'm going to put my leeks in here. my rough, and all of it's roughly chopped. None of this is pretty because it's gonna go into a blender. So all of this is gonna go in here for about 5 minutes. I only want about 5 minutes. So you've got about a pound of your asparagus, pound total. You separate the stems from the stalks. About a half of an onion, 1 leek, 1/4 cup of asparagus. I used a little bit of garlic. I'm gonna put this on the stove for about 5 minutes. After 5 minutes, I'm gonna use a little bit of, I need to mix this up again. This is a little bit of arrowroot dissolved in water. The reason you use arrowroot, another ingredient, I had no idea what that was. I'm like, okay, it's a root of something and it's got an arrow on it. I have no idea. But anyways, like cornstarch, this is to replace cornstarch. I don't like cornstarch. We don't do really much corn in our house at all. So this is to replace that. But if you dump it directly in, it's just gonna stick to everything. It just gets all lumpy. So dissolve it in a little bit of water. I just have it in about a half cup. After 5 minutes, I'm gonna dump this into the veggies, and then I'm gonna take the veggies, and I'm gonna dump that. You'll have the actual recipe by tomorrow. But I'm gonna take the veggies, and I'm gonna dump the veggies into the blender. And you can do it in batches, or you can do the whole thing depending on the size of your blender. You can do it in halves, or you can do it in, fully all in one. My poor little beat up Vitamix is, because I do so many recipes, just beat up. So I'll probably do it in halves. You can also use something called an immersion blender, so you don't have to take it out. I think the Vitamix makes it a little smoother. But if you like chunky soup, there's one of two things you can do. Don't blend all of it, or use an immersion blender so that you have a little bit chunkier, more robust and zest, that just kind of like heartier kind of soup. So that's what I'm gonna do. Now I've held these asparagus tips out until the end. At the end, if you like it really smooth, throw them all in there. But at the end, what I like to do is top the soup with some asparagus tips. It just looks really nice. And really that's about it. Now it calls for vegetable broth or chicken stock. I like bone broth because it's healthier. So if you're a vegan, this is an awesome vegan recipe. You will use vegetable stock. I like bone broth. Bare Bones and Kettle and Fire, I think, are 2 brands that are great. Try to stay away from the processed stuff. If it's real bone broth, it should have like between 8 and 11 grams of protein in it. So it's got a lot of protein just in the bone broth. So, or you can make your own, which is awesome. I just don't have time. So bone broth is what I use instead of broth or vegetable broth. And then in my house, that's the recipe right there. At the end, after I blend all the veggies, I'm gonna dump it back in the pot, put the broth back in it, let it boil, then turn it down to a simmer, throw my spices and my tarragon in, and then serve it, and then top it off with my tips. But in my house, my husband is a caveman. So Chloe and I eat a lot of vegan foods. He's sitting here staring at me. You're watching me like, like you're gonna grade me at the end. I told them you said I went from disaster to master. So I'm gonna put chicken in it. So you can heat this up. If you have a vegan in your house and you also have cavemen, this is awesome because what you do, I have leftover chicken. That's why I was able to throw this together so quickly. I had these ingredients and I had leftover chicken. So I just shredded the chicken really fast. You could heat this up, serve it to the vegans, and then just let your cavemen top off their soup. He likes it this way, so I'm just gonna dump it in. But it's just really nice because it's very versatile. Those ingredients took me like less than 10 minutes to chop. The whole thing's gonna probably take me another 20, and it took me a little time to explain it to you. So it was pretty easy considering I just completely like blew it and forgot. So I hope this was helpful. Those little tips, things I didn't know, like using your food processor is just so helpful. How to dissolve arrowroot. Those are just little things that as you want to become healthy, it'll get easier and easier. Just follow along because I knew none of this. Be patient with yourself. Enjoy it. If you mess it up, so what? Oh, and remember the beautiful thing about soup is that originally soups were made. The whole reason people did soup was because they needed to make food go further because it was mostly for poor people, right? So they just dumped in whatever they had. That's another tip. Dump in whatever you have, make it go further. Make sure you use whatever is about to go bad and always put in your favorite herbs and spices. All right, hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you think. Let me know. Tomorrow it will be on my website, tanaamen.com. Leave your comments. But for tonight, you can just follow along. All right, thanks. Bye.